Hello, and welcome to our story sanctuary, a place where imagination knows no bounds, and every tale is a journey of the heart. As you join us, leave the ordinary behind and step into a world woven with words, where characters come alive and adventures await at every turn. Whether you're seeking comfort, inspiration, or a touch of magic, our stories are here to accompany you through the tapestry of life. So, find your favorite spot, relax, and let the power of storytelling transport you to realms both familiar and undiscovered. Thank you for tuning in. Your next story is about to begin. A Bouquet of Promises, Prologue, the prelude of dreams and desires. In the heart of Paris, where the Seine whispers secrets to the cobblestones, and the Eiffel Tower stretches towards the stars, there lies a story waiting to be told, a tale of whimsy, of longing, and of the intricate dance between love and desire. Before the world awakens to the melodies of life, in the quiet hours where dreams and reality converge, we meet Angela, a woman of vibrant aspirations. She moves through the city like a melody in search of its harmony. Her heart beats to the rhythm of an unfulfilled desiree longing to bring forth life, to nurture a soul, to be a mother beside her. Miles stands a man of words and wit, yet bound by the invisible chains of apprehension. His love for Angela is as deep as the river that flows through their city, but the thought of fatherhood is a tide he's yet to embrace. And then there's Alfred, the embodiment of charm and spontaneity, whose affections for Angela are as open as the sky above them in his eyes. Possibility is endless, and the constraints of convention are but a distant echo. As dawn breaks and the city stirs, the prologue of our story unfolds, setting the stage for a symphony of emotions. It is a narrative that will challenge the boundaries of relationships, test the strength of convictions, and celebrate the essence of what it means to be a woman. So, let us turn the page and begin the journey through the streets of Paris, where every corner holds a promise, and every moment is a note in the song of life. The Parisian sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the city as the streets buzzed with the energy of a night coming to life. In the heart of this vibrant metropolis, nestled among the quaint bistros and chic boutiques, stood the Moulin Bleu, a cabaret that promised an escape into a world of glitter and sensuality. Inside, the dressing room was a sanctuary of sequins and feathers, where Angela, the star dancer, sat before a mirror lined with bright bulbs. Her reflection gazed back at her, a visage of beauty and whimsy, framed by an array of colorful costumes that told stories of her performances. Yet, amidst the glamour, her eyes held a longing that the sparkle around her could not satisfy. Angela's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of Miles' voice, his silhouette appearing in the doorway. "You look stunning, as always," he said, his tone carrying the weight of routine. Miles, a bookseller with a penchant for pragmatism, found the world of Angela's profession enchanting, but foreign to his own reality. "Thank you, mon amour," Angela replied, her voice a melody of affection and mischief. "But tonight, I wish to discuss something more substantial than my appearance." Miles raised an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. "Oh, and what might that be?" With a deep breath, Angela turned to face him, her expression earnest. "I want to talk about a future. That includes the pitter-patter of little feet." Miles' smile faltered, replaced by a mask of discomfort. "Angela, we've been over this. My bookshop barely sustains us, and your dancing is not exactly a fountain of fortune. How can we even consider bringing a child into our precarious world?" Angela's heart sank, but she masked her disappointment with a playful twirl of her hair. "But Miles, think of the joy, the laughter, the love that a child would bring. We can make it work, we always do, Miles sighed. His love for Angela clashing with his fear of the unknown. It's not that simple. And you know it. Let's not ruin a perfectly good evening with impossible dreams. Their banter, once light and teasing, now carried an undercurrent of unspoken truths and unfulfilled desires. Angela watched as Miles retreated into the safety of his logical world, leaving her alone with her dreams of motherhood as the night progressed. Angela took to the stage, her movements a mesmerizing blend of grace and passion. The audience was captivated. Drawn into the fantasy, she weaved with every step and turn. Yet, beneath the facade of the exotic dancer, Angela's soul danced to a different rhythmone that yearned for the embrace of a child. After the show, as the applause faded and the crowd dispersed, Angela found herself walking the cobblestone streets of Paris. The city's lights reflected in her eyes, mirroring the conflict within. She thought of Miles, of his steadfast presence, and the love they shared. But another image began to take shape in her mind. Alfred, Miles' best friend, whose affections for her were no secret. Alfred, with his easy charm and adventurous spirit, had often hinted at a life less ordinary, one filled with risks and rewards. Could he be the answer to her longing? Could he offer her the future that Miles could not? As the moon hung high above, casting its silver glow, Angela's heart whispered a silent plea for guidance. She knew that the path she chose would alter the course of their lives forever. But for now, the streets of Paris held her secrets, and the night was still young. The evening air in Paris was thick with the scent of old books, and the faint aroma of espresso that lingered from the café below. Miles' apartment, a sanctuary of literature and music, was a reflection of his soul, organized, yet brimming with the chaos of ideas. The walls were lined with shelves that held stories of every hue, and vinyl records that played melodies from a time gone by. In this eclectic haven, Miles sat at his desk, surrounded by the ghosts of authors past. His fingers danced over the keys of an old typewriter, a rhythmic clacking filling the room as he poured his thoughts onto paper. Yet, his mind was not on the words he wrote, but on the conversation he had with Angela earlier that evening. The notion of fatherhood was a distant ship on the horizon of Miles' contemplations, one he was content to admire from afar. The practicalities of life, the need for stability, the fear of inadequacy are anchors that held him firmly in place. He loved Angela, with her dreams painted in vibrant colors. But where she saw a canvas of possibilities, he saw a tapestry of responsibilities that he felt ill-equipped to bear. A knock at the door broke his reverie, and in walked Alfred, his best friend and confidant. Alfred's presence was like a breeze that stirred the still air, his smile an unspoken challenge to the order Miles so carefully maintained. Still working at this hour, Miles? You'll turn into one of these books if you're not careful, Alfred jested, his eyes scanning the room with an air of familiarity. Miles offered a half smile, the weight of his thoughts apparent. Just tying up some loose ends. What brings you here so late? Alfred took a seat, his demeanor shifting to one of concern. It's about Angela, he began, his voice a mix of hesitation and resolve. She spoke to me, Miles, about her wish for a child, about your reluctance. Miles' hands stilled, his heart tightening at the mention of Angela's name. And what did you say to her? He asked, a defensive edge creeping into his tone. I told her I understood her feelings, Alfred replied, his gaze steady. But I also said that it's a decision that you both must make together. Miles rose from his chair, pacing the room as he grappled with the emotions that Alfred's words stirred within him. You know my reasons, Alfred. This world is uncertain. Our lives are unpredictable. How can I bring a child into that? Alfred watched his friend, the lines of worry etched on Miles' face. Life is a series of uncertainties, my friend, but it's also filled with moments of unexpected joy. Don't let fear rob you of those moments. The conversation drifted into the night, with Alfred's words echoing in Miles' mind long after his friend had departed. Miles knew that his love for Angela was a beacon that could guide them through any storm. Yet, the fear of the unknown was a powerful adversary, one that held him captive in its shadow as the city of Paris slumbered. Miles wrestled with his thoughts, the silence of the apartment amplifying the turmoil within. He thought of Angela's smile, of the light in her eyes when she spoke of a future that included a child. Could he find the courage to step into that future with her? The night waned, and the first light of dawn crept through the windows, casting a gentle glow on the pages of Miles' unfinished manuscript. It was a new day, and with it came the promise of new beginnings. Perhaps it was time for Miles to turn the page and write a story that included not just him and Angela, but a little one whose laughter would fill the rooms of their eclectic apartment. The Parisian cafe was a mosaic of life, where conversations blended into a symphony of the city's heartbeat. Amidst the clinking of coffee cups and the soft hum of a jazz record, Alfred found solace in the corner booth that had become his second home. The cafe, with its warm lights and the aroma of freshly baked pastries, was a stark contrast to the cool, calculated world he navigated as a journalist. Alfred's eyes were fixed on the entrance, watching as patrons came and went, each absorbed in their own narrative. His thoughts, however, were occupied by Angela, the woman whose laughter was like a melody that lingered in his mind long after it had faded. He admired her from afar, respecting the boundary that her relationship with Miles had drawn, yet his heart yearned for more. As if summoned by his thoughts, Angela appeared, her presence a burst of color in the monochrome cafe. She approached Alfred with a hesitant smile, her eyes searching his for a sign of the conversation to come. "Alfred," she began, her voice a whisper over the din of the cafe. "I need to speak with you about something personal." Alfred's heart quickened, a mix of anticipation and dread filling him. "Of course, Angela. What's on your mind?" Angela took a deep breath, the words she had rehearsed suddenly elusive. "It's about Miles and me, and this longing I have, a longing for a child." Alfred listened, his expression a mask of calm as a storm of emotions raged within. He had always sensed the tension between Angela and Miles, the unspoken desires that lingered between them like shadows. "I know Miles' stance on this," Angela continued, her gaze unwavering. "But I can't suppress this part of me any longer, and I thought of you." Alfred's pulse raced, the confession igniting a flame he had kept carefully controlled. "Angela, you know my feelings for you have always been more than just friendship, but I would never want to come between you and Miles." Angela reached across the table, her hand gently covering his. "I'm not asking you to. I'm asking if you would consider being a part of this dream of mine, in whatever way you can." The weight of her request settled over Alfred like a cloak. He was torn between the loyalty he owed his friend and the desire that had taken root in his heart. To be a part of Angela's life, to share in the creation of a new one, was a temptation that called to him with a siren song. "Angela," Alfred said, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside, "I would be honored to help you fulfill this dream, but we must consider the consequences for all of us." The cafe round them faded into a blur as they delved into a conversation that would alter the course of their lives. Alfred's words were measured, each one carefully chosen to convey his respect for her and for the friendship he shared with Miles. As the evening wore on, the cafe emptied, leaving Alfred and Angela in a bubble of their own creation. They spoke of hopes and fears, of the delicate balance between love and friendship, and of the future that beckoned with open arms by the time they parted. The night had wrapped Paris in its embrace, and the stars above seemed to shine with a new purpose. Alfred watched as Angela disappeared into the night, her silhouette a promise etched against the city lights. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but for the first time, he allowed himself to believe in the possibility of a different Indingini, where love transcended the boundaries of convention, and friendship blossomed into something beautifully unexpected. The apartment lay in silence, a stark contrast to the cacophony of Paris that echoed far below. Angela and Mile, once a duet of laughter and conversation, now found themselves in a quiet standoff, their emotions as palpable as the books that lined the shelves, each title a silent witness to their discord. In the midst of the stillness, Angela wandered through the rooms, her fingers tracing the spines of the books, each one a memory. A shared moment with Mile, the titles seemed to speak to her, their words a reflection of the turmoil in her heart. She paused at a volume titled The Unbearable Lightness of Being, its title resonating with the weight of her current predicament. Mile, on the opposite side of the room, watched Angela's every move. His eyes fell upon love in the time of cholera, and he couldn't help but draw parallels to their own story of passion, but also of a love tested by time and circumstance. The room was a chessboard, and each move was calculated. Angela pulled a book from the shelf, Great Expectations, and placed it on the coffee tablia, silent plea for understanding and hope. Mile countered with the Age of Innocence, a reminder of simpler times before desires and dreams had complicated their love. This silent argument continued, an exchange of ideals and emotions conveyed through literary titles. Pride and Prejudice faced off against Sense and Sensibility. A battle of wills and wisdom, The Art of War, met The Book of Peace, a juxtaposition of their internal struggles as the night deepened. The apartment became a library of unspoken words. Angela reached for a farewell to arms, her choice a surrender to the vulnerability she felt. Mile responded with To the Lighthouse, a beacon of guidance in the fog that had settled between them. The tension reached its crescendo when Angela presented the bell jar, a symbol of her entrapment within the confines of Mile's indecision. Mile, feeling the weight of her message, offered The Sun Also Rises, a promise of new beginnings and the warmth of hope in the end. It was Les Miserables that lay open between them, its pages a testament to the human capacity for endurance and redemption. They stood there, surrounded by the silent dialogue they had created, each title a step on the journey of their relationship. As dawn approached, the first light of day crept through the curtains, casting a soft glow on the literary tapestry they had woven. It was Angela who broke the silence, her voice a whisper that carried the strength of her resolve. Mile, we cannot live our lives through these pages. We must write our own story, one where fear does not hold the pen. Mile's eyes met hers, and in that gaze, there was a flicker of understanding, a spark that had the power to ignite a new chapter in their lives. The books that surrounded them were no longer barriers but bridges, connecting their hearts with the threads of shared dreams and the ink of possibility. The silent argument had ended, but their conversation was just beginning, a dialogue of love, of compromise, and of a future that they would pen together. The night draped Paris in a cloak of mystery, the city's lights twinkling like stars fallen to earth. Angela stood by the window of her apartment, the cool glass a stark contrast to the warmth of her skin. The city was alive, pulsating with the dreams and desires of millions. Yet in that moment, it felt as if it all hushed to a whisper, listening to the silent conversation between her heart and soul. Angla's mind replayed the events of the past days, the words and silences that had danced between her and Mile, the confessions and promises shared with Alfred. The crossroads before her was clear, each path marked by the footprints of love and longing. She turned away from the window, her reflection in the mirror a portrait of resolve. The Angla that gazed back was not just an exotic dancer, not just Miles' lover, nor Alfred's temptation. She was a woman of passion and power, a woman who dared to dream of motherhood despite the complexities it entailed. The decision that lay before her was not one of mere choice, but of destiny. To accept Alfred's offer was to step into a world of unknowns, to challenge the norms that bound her to Mile, yet the fire that burned within her for a child could not be quenched by fear or doubt. As the clock struck midnight, the chime resonated with the beating of her heart. Angla's eyes closed, a silent prayer escaping her lips, a plea for strength and guidance. When she opened them again, the decision was made. She reached for her phone, her fingers deftly composing a message to Alfred. "I have made my choice." She wrote, "I am ready to embark on this journey with you. Tomorrow, we shall meet and discuss the way forward." The message sent. Angla felt a weight lift from her shoulders, a liberation of her spirit. She knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but the promise of new life, of a dream realized, was a beacon that outshone the darkness of uncertainty. In the quiet of her apartment, Angla began to pen a letter to Mile. Her words were a tapestry of love and gratitude, of apology and hope. She spoke of their shared memories, of the love that had bound them, and of the new chapter she was about to write Ion, that she hoped he could understand and, in time, forgive. The letter complete, Angla placed it on Miles' pillow, a silent testament to the love that would always remain, even as she stepped into the dawn of a new beginning. As the first light of day broke over the horizon, Angla left the apartment. Her steps light, her heart full. The streets of Paris welcomed her, the city embracing her decision with the promise of a new day. As the first light of dawn caressed the rooftops of Paris, the city awoke to the gentle rhythm of a new day. Inside the apartment that Angla and Miles shared, the air was thick with anticipation, the remnants of last night's silent argument lingering like a delicate fog. Miles stood by the window, his gaze lost in the golden hues that painted the sky. The letter Angla had left him lay open on the table, her words echoing in his Minda symphony of love, regret, and a plea for understanding. He had read it a dozen times, each sentence etching deeper into his heart, revealing the depth of her desire, her need for motherhood that transcended their love. Angla, returning from her early morning walk, paused at the doorway, her silhouette framed by the soft light. She found Miles deep in thought, the vulnerability in his posture a contrast to the stoic man she knew. Her decision weighed heavily on her, the choice to move forward with Alfred, a bittersweet resolution to her yearning. "Miles," she whispered, her voice a tentative bridge across the chasm that had formed between them. Miles turned, his eyes meeting hers, a myriad of emotions swirling within. "Angla," he replied, his voice barely above a murmur. "Your words, they have awakened something within me, a realization." Angla stepped closer, the distance between them closing with each hesitant step. "And what is that?" she asked, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. Miles took her hands in his, the warmth of his touch a familiar comfort. "That my love for you is greater than my fears, that the thought of losing you, of not being a part of this dream of yours, is far more terrifying than any uncertainty the future holds." Tears glistened in Angla's eyes, the walls around her heart crumbling. "Miles, are you saying yes?" "Angla," Miles interrupted, his resolve clear. I want to be with you on this journey, to be a father, to be your partner in every sense, if you'll have me. A sob escaped Angela, her body trembling with the release of emotions held back for too long. She threw her arms around Mile, their embrace a reunion of souls, a fusion of past hurts and future promises as they stood there, locked in each other's arms. The apartment filled with the soft sounds of the city below, the playful banter that had once defined their relationship transformed into a wordplay of a different kind, of dance of whispered dreams and shared laughter, culminating in the declaration of their renewed commitment. The dawn greeted Paris with a soft embrace, the city bathed in the gentle light of a new beginning. Angela stood on the balcony of her apartment, the fresh morning air caressing her face, carrying with it the promise of the day ahead. The streets below were quiet, the usual hustle of the city subdued, as if in reverence to the moment. Inside, Mile watched her, a sense of peace settling in his heart. The turmoil of the past had given way to acceptance, and in that acceptance, he found a love deeper than he had ever known. Angela, with her unwavering spirit and her dreams of motherhood, had awakened in him a desire to embrace life in all its fullness. Mile, Angela called softly, turning to him with a smile that held the warmth of 1,000 suns. Come, join me. Mile stepped out onto the balcony, taking her hand in his. Together, they looked out at the city they called home, a canvas of endless possibilities. Today feels different, Angela mused, her voice a reflection of her inner contentment. It feels like the world is ours to shape, to mold into the story we wish to tell. Mile nodded, his eyes reflecting the same sense of purpose. And what a story it will be. He replied, one of love, of challenges overcome, and of new life. They spoke of their future, of the child that would soon become the center of their universe. They imagined the laughter that would fill their home, the tiny footsteps that would echo through the halls, and the love that would grow with each passing day as the sun rose higher, casting a golden glow over the city. Angela and Mile's conversation turned to the essence of womanhood, of the strength and beauty that Angela embodied. They spoke of identity, of the roles they played, and of the masks they wore, but most importantly, they celebrated the truth that lay beneath it all, the truth of who Angela was, not just as a lover or a mother to be, but as a woman in her own right. The world may try to define us, to put us in boxes, Angela said, her eyes alight with passion. But we are more than the sum of our parts. We are complex, we are fluid, and we are powerful. Miles squeezed her hand, his heart full. And you, Angela, are the most incredible woman I have ever known. You are my love, my partner, and the mother of our future child. But above all, you are you. And that is more than enough. Their final exchange was a testament to their journey, a culmination of all they had experienced and all they were yet to discover. It was a declaration of love, of respect, and of the unbreakable bond they shared. As the story came to a close, Angela and Mile remained on the balcony, two figures against the backdrop of a city awakening. Their story was one of many in the tapestry of Paris, but it was uniquely Thyrsa's story of a woman's essence, celebrated and honored in the embrace of the one she loved. Epilogue. The symphony of choices as the Parisian sun rose, painting the sky with hues of hope and renewal. The city stirred to the rhythm of everyday miracles. In the heart of this awakening was an apartment, where the remnants of last night's reconciliation whispered through the rooms. Angela, with her dreams now tenderly cradled in the realm of possibility, gazed at Mile with eyes that spoke of battles fought and won. Mile, once a fortress of resistance, now stood as a beacon of support. His love for Angela, the unwavering flame that guided them through the storm. The record player, a silent witness to their journey, hummed a melody that resonated with their heartbeat, a symphony of choices, each note a testament to their love and the paths they dared to tread. In the quietude of the moment, Angela mused on the essence of being a woman, not just in the joy of potential motherhood, but in the strength of her convictions, the depth of her emotions, and the resilience of her spirit. And as the final page turned, their story, a blend of reality and reverie, left a lingering question in the air: what defines a woman, a man, a human? Perhaps it is the courage to embrace one's truth, the grace to accept change, and the wisdom to know that in every heart lies the power to create, to love, and to transform, with the city as their canvas and their choices as the brush. Angela and Mile painted a future where every woman is her own masterpiece, every man a partner in the art of life, and every day a celebration of the myriad shades of existence. Thank you for joining us on this narrative journey. Your presence turns each story into a shared adventure, and your listening ear gives life to the tales we tell. As the final words echo and the last page turns, we hope that the stories you've encountered here have left you with a sense of wonder, a touch of joy, and a connection to the boundless world of imagination. Your support means the world to us, and we are grateful for every moment you choose to spend in our company. Until our paths cross again in the next story, we bid you farewell with heartfelt thanks. May the memories of the tales you've heard be a treasure you carry with you. From all of us here, thank you and take care.